Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday, late afternoon, early evening, September 11th, 2022. I hope everyone is safe and doing as well as possible. And we made it through another week, amazingly. I'd like to welcome everyone to the show tonight. This will be my weekly update that I'll be putting on YouTube. And we're going to start off. I've got a Sam Carana post that I'm going to start off with. Well, before that, I want to show all the smoke where I'm located. I'm in the Reno, Nevada area, and this is Zoom Earth, and all this smoke, this smoke from all these fires, and also up into Canada. This is really just flared up for us this week, and we're getting smoke from this fire right here, and it's called the Mosquito Fire. It's in Northern California, and Reno's right up here, but there's the fire. It popped up Monday night, and 41,000 acres and only 10% contained. Apparently it's very steep terrain, and it's hard for the firefighters to get to it. And so, just depending on which way the wind is blowing, we've been getting smoke every day. Look at that. And let's see, there's a little dot on the 6th. So here we were on the 5th, which was Monday, and if we just go through by the days, and here's Tuesday. See the heat signature there. Look at this. Wednesday is that's when we started getting the smoke, was Wednesday night, and I've been reacting to it, and I've been in with the windows closed and running the AC as little as possible, because when I run the AC it brings in air from the outside. And I think it was Monday, we had 106 degree temperature. I ran the AC that day, but it's gone down since then, the temperature. Look at this on the 8th, and then here's the 9th. See, it really billowed. Look, see, it's filling up all across Nevada, and a long way up north, and going west too in California. We also had a fire east of Reno, actually out by Fernley. Railroad ties were on fire. I don't know if that's been put out yet or not. Here's the 10th, which was yesterday, and here we are today. And so, it doesn't look that bad today, but for sensitive groups, you can definitely smell it in the air, and see it's mixing in with the clouds here. but here, look at all these fires. This is Idaho. We've got more in Northern California, and there was look at this. Here it was yesterday. See the smoke going out across the Pacific here. That's yesterday. And here it is today. And all this big round circle, that smoke. And it goes further out, but that's very concentrated too. So I just thought I'd show that. In Canada, their fires have billowed up, and Russia is not nearly as much as what we're seeing here in North America right now. So we're going to start off with Sam Carana's latest blog post. He first started this post on Thursday the 8th, and this is Blogspot, arctic-news.blogspot.com, and the title is Blue Ocean Event 2022 ? And he says, the image on the right shows a NASA Worldview satellite image of a blue Beaufort Sea, with Beaufort, Alaska at the top left on September 7th, 2022. The image shows that there is a lot of open water between the coast of Alaska and the sea ice. To determine where there is open water and where the sea ice starts can be hard. The sea ice is often covered by clouds. Furthermore, even when there are no clouds, the question remains, what is to be regarded as sea ice? That's right. I've been asking that. According to many, a blue ocean event starts when Arctic sea ice extent falls below 1 million square kilometers. Arctic sea ice extent was 4.912 million square kilometers on September 6th, which is larger than the extent in many previous years around this time of year. However, the sea ice has become very thin, resulting in many areas where only small pieces of ice are present. I'm really glad you wrote this post, Sam. I've been saying this. This is exactly what I've been saying. So here we are this year. Here, years, a whole bunch of years where we were lower on extent. National Snow and Ice Data Center regard a cell to have sea ice if it has at least 15% sea ice, but when regarding a cell to have sea ice if it has at least 50% ice, and if that's the case for 1/3 of the cells where there is some ice, then we're already in a blue ocean event right now. So let's have another look at how much of the above 4.912 million square kilometers can be regarded as sea ice by using the NSIDC map with sea ice concentration as a guide. The roughly sketched outline drawn over the NASA map below indicates that there may only have been some 991,000 square kilometers of concentrated sea ice left on September the 6th. And let's see here. So here is the National Snow and Ice Data Center for September the 6th, Arctic sea ice concentration. And he's basically just saying, what if we just take the white areas, the solid white areas, which is the good concentration, and just count that for sea ice, and what would we have? And here he sketched it in and colored with a light pink color, and it's just the area above Ellesmere Island, and a little bit of Canada, and then a little bit of Greenland. And it's mainly the bright aqua portions when we look at the global, at the Navy model. And so that's what he did for this example. And so if we leave out all this other ice that's really wispy or really thin or not very well put together, there's a bunch of holes in the sea ice, large areas of holes. He's saying if we leave out all of that and don't even count that as extent, if we just counted the really good intact ice where the leaves aren't opened up and all of that, we would already have less than 1 million square kilometers. And so that's significant, because really, how much protection do the little crumbs make? And I've been saying that anyway. And then he says, as said, it's a rough sketch, so some cells with a higher concentration of sea ice may have been left out. Having said that, we're currently in the depth of a persistent La Nina, and the associated lower air temperatures contribute to a relatively larger sea ice extent than would otherwise be the case. And I'm thinking that it could just be ice spread too, causing the wide area of sea ice extent, because as the ice comes apart, it spreads out, and it spreads out before it all melts completely. In conclusion, depending on what is considered as sea ice, we could already be experiencing a blue ocean event right now. Further events and developments. A blue ocean event constitutes the crossing of a huge tipping point, and as a strong El Niño looks set to emerge, this could trigger the unfolding of further events and developments leading to extinction of most species, including humans, as 1. A strong El Niño triggers. 2. And here come the dominoes. Further decline of the Arctic sea ice with loss of the latent heat buffer, combined with 3. Associated loss of sea ice albedo, and 4. Destabilization of seafloor methane hydrates, causing eruption of vast amounts of methane that further speed up Arctic warming and cause 5. Rapid thawing of terrestrial permafrost, resulting in even more emissions. 6. While the jet stream gets even more deformed, resulting in more extreme weather events. 7. Causing forest fires, at first in Siberia and Canada, and 8. Eventually also in the peat fields and tropical rainforests of the Amazon in Africa and Southeast Asia, resulting in 9. Decline of snow and ice on mountains, at first causing huge flooding, followed by 10. Drought, heat waves, and urban collapse. 11. Collapse of the Greenland and West Antarctic ice sheets. 12. Falling away of aerosol masking as civilization grinds to a halt. 13. Further heating due to gases and particulates from wood and waste burning and biomass decomposition. And 14. Further heating due to additional gases, including water vapor, cirrus clouds, albedo changes, and heat rising up from oceans. So those are the dominoes, and then he goes on to say, and he shows where they all happen here on the globe, and here are the same things that he just listed. Here it is on the picture. And then he says they don't have to happen in that order. They could happen in a different order. It can start with the rising heat in the oceans, and then that can set off another chain of events. So either way, we're in big trouble. And what he described, wait, let's see what he says. Now this is from Climate Reanalyzer for Thursday. Sea surface temperature anomaly, and see, you can see around the Arctic where there's no ice. See, it's browns and reds, and here's the big blob forming in the North Atlantic. We've seen that. And he says, furthermore, oh, well, let's just read it all. Importantly, depicted above is only one scenario of many things. Things may eventuate in different order and occur simultaneously, i.e., instead of one domino tipping over the next one sequentially, many events may occur simultaneously and reinforce each other. Further events and developments could be added to the list, such as ocean stratification and stronger storms that can push large amounts of warm, salty water into the Arctic Ocean. Here is another example of such a scenario. Recent studies indicate that human-caused climate change will soon increase El Niño frequency and intensity. Accordingly, the upcoming El Niño may well be strong. We're currently in the depth of a persistent La Niña, which suppresses the temperature rise, whereas the opposite occurs during El Niño, which amplifies the temperature rise, and this especially affects the Arctic, which is already heating up much faster than the rest of the world. Also, the upcoming El Niño may very well coincide with a peak in sunspots in 2025, further pushing up temperatures. Furthermore, the narrowing temperature difference between the Arctic and the tropics will further deform the jet stream and in turn cause more extreme weather, leading to more loss of sea ice and thus its capacity to reflect sunlight and act as a buffer against incoming ocean heat. A huge amount of heat has built up in the North Atlantic off the coast of North America, as illustrated by the image on the right, which is, I've been showing that it's that blob, the evil eye in the North Atlantic. As discussed in an earlier post, rising temperatures result in stronger winds along the path of the Gulf Stream that can make huge amounts of warm, salty water travel from the Atlantic Ocean toward the Arctic and reach shallow parts of the Arctic Ocean, such as the East Siberian Arctic Shelf, or ESAS, where most of the sea is less than 50 meters deep. The danger is illustrated by the Argo float compilation below. Let's look at this. And here it is coming up by Svalbard, and then it cuts over to the east. And where's this Argo float? I would have to study up. I'm not familiar with the Argo float. But anyway, there's that. And then he includes a Guy McPherson video in the video below from this page. Guy McPherson addresses the question, has the methane bomb been triggered? Conclusion: the situation is dire, and the right thing to do now is to help avoid or delay the worst from happening through action as described in the climate plan. And then here are all of his links. So I've been saying, we've been seeing a lot of the effects of a blue ocean event without them actually stating that we've had one. And I mean, they can't keep that little skim of ice forever up there. They just can't. So I thought I'd share that. And I'm on a different view than I normally have here. So let's start out. We're going to go over climate-related items and sea ice and methane today, and earthquakes. And I post almost every day for my Subscribe members, and we'd love to have you over there. The link is in the description box below this video, and for only $5 a month you can help support my work and get daily updates. And I do videos almost every day that I put up, and I also do posts almost every day with climate related items, and just tracking everything and documenting the collapse of everything. And as far as I know, I'm the only one that's doing this intense day-by-day research and reporting. So this is 2-meter temperature. This is air temperature for today. Here's the maximum. All the whites are 40 C or higher, which is about 100 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. And here it's mainly across northern Africa Saudi Arabia and across this Middle East area, and then into India here. Here's South America and the interior. Now this white over the Antarctic, that's lower. That's minus degrees. And here we're back on the view I usually use to start off with. And this week has just been awful for this whole west side of the U.S. We set here in the Reno area when we hit 106. That's our all-time record for September. But anyway, here's the flat view. Here's 2-meter temperature anomaly, and this is the air temperature where it's warmer than normal. And look, Greenland is covered in brown, dark brown, and moving into red. So that's like 10 to 14 or 15 C higher than normal. We've had an extreme spike in melting on the Greenland ice sheet this week. There was rain that came up in this Baffin Bay, and some of it got on the ice sheet, and we had a massive spike this week. And Greenland typically is at the end of its melt season, but you know, I don't think we can go by the past. I think we're in a new paradigm, and we have to be like explorers with and kind of drop our preconceived notions of how things were in the past and just watch everything unfold, because I don't think anything is going to be like what we've seen in the past. I think it's going to be much worse as we move forward. And we've got brown over this western side of the Arctic. Let's see the blues over most of Russia. Here we've got the dark brown in northeastern Canada, and then see all these browns on this west side. And this is starting to lift a little bit, but this has just been a heat dome, this whole Canada and western U.S. area for a couple of weeks now. And then see in the middle of America, we've got the blues. We've got the blues. The blues. Here's the flat view. See, we've got browns going across here. Mongolia and China. Worldwide, we're up 0.2 C higher than normal. Northern Hemisphere is up 0.9 C. The Arctic is up 1.8 C higher than normal. The Antarctic is down 3.5 C. Southern Hemisphere is down 0.4 C. And the tropics are up 0.1 C. Here's precipitation and clouds. And we're seeing rain. See, the green is rain, the blue is snow. We're seeing rain here over the Kara Sea and over northern Norway and the Kola Peninsula. Alaska is having rain, and so we've got rain coming up in this Baffin Bay again. See all the snow here over Canada, over Greenland, then rain over Canada, and where you have like rain in these really far north regions, that's really kind of tragic because the permafrost will thaw out faster, and then that sets a whole thing in motion with the ground becomes unstable, and the infrastructure can be failing, and even pipelines, buildings, roads, things like that can come apart. And then of course with all of that you've got release of methane and carbon dioxide and so on. So this the dominoes again. Look at this rain here up at Iceland. And Jim Massa did a show today, the Science Talk, about as we see the Arctic warming, we'll see the precipitation switch to a lot more rain, or mainly even rain in the Arctic. But we'll also see this in the Antarctic, because it's changing down there too, not just in the Arctic. The Arctic is warming up faster, but we have areas in the Antarctic like the Thwaites Glacier, Pine Island Glacier, that those are heating up super fast, and when that Thwaites Glacier goes, that'll cause massive sea level rise. And all the papers say we're seeing this stuff happening now, and we didn't think it would happen for another 100 years or anything, and we're caught by surprise. No, you're not caught by surprise. You're just saying that to make us feel like you didn't know what was going to happen. No, they know. The scientists know. They know. Here are the jet loops, and here's where the cold air is coming down. And it's more and more deformed every time I look at it, in both hemispheres. See, no rhyme or reason. Look at this. This almost looks like a spiral coming all the way across the Atlantic. And we'll look at sea ice in a minute. Here's sea surface temperature anomaly. This is for Saturday the 10th. And they still haven't changed their chart. The highest they have here is 6C higher than normal, and that's in the light pink, which is these areas here in the Atlantic. But see all these browns in the Arctic. And once this water heats up, it takes a while for it to cool down. Now the sun is going down. That North Pole is tipping away from the sun now, as in the South Pole. The sun's starting to come up now. And but but the water's heated up, and it could take a couple of months for it to cool down, even after it all goes dark up there. This is what we've got, and here's our blob in the North Atlantic. Off this coast of Newfoundland, like right here where you see the little pink spot, there's a hot spot where we see methane bubbling in very high amounts as well. Look at all this brown in the Pacific, just off the coming up to the coast of North America. Brown, brown, brown everywhere. Here in the Pacific, here's the blob. Here in the Northwest Pacific, brown, 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 and then brown swooping across the Southern Pacific. Reddish brown in the Mediterranean there. Worldwide, we're up 0.5 C, higher than normal. Northern Hemisphere and North Pacific are both up 0.8 C. The North Atlantic is up 1.1 C. Southern Hemisphere is up 0.2 C. And the Equatorial Pacific is down 0.3 C, lower than normal. And that's this blue area. That's the Equatorial Pacific. So there's that. Now we'll move on to methane. Now CAMS is doing another one of its things where it's not releasing methane and usually carbon dioxide either. The data is not available, or it's being held up for release, or for whatever reason. They don't ever say. But the latest data we have from CAMS is from Wednesday. Let me refresh and just make sure that they haven't released anything. No. All you see, you only see two columns up here right now. The day is missing because this is the only day they've got up now, is Wednesday the 7th. So I'll show that in a minute. So we're going to start with the Noaa data. I have 2 days worth of Noaa data to report on. Here we have Friday the 9th in the morning for the Met-B or Met-1 satellite, and we're tracking this 469 millibar reading, and the mean or average was 1947 parts per billion. The high reading was 2459, and this big white area is missing data for almost all of Australia and Papua New Guinea. So even with that, our mean is still 1947. In the afternoon, the mean was 1945. The high reading was spiked a little bit to 2617. And then for yesterday, Saturday the 10th in the morning, the mean was 1947. The high reading was 2449. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1946, and the high reading was 2415. Here's our spreadsheet. So for the 10th, for the week, that averages out to be 1946.5 parts per billion, and that's an increase for the week of 1.5, and we can see the blue line going up here, and we were at 1945 for 2 weeks in a row for the August 27th and September the 3rd, and then we went back up 1.5. Now, we're not done with the warming. Typically, methane will reach its peak around early October. I don't know if it's gonna go on further this year. It could, because we got kind of a late start on the real rising of the methane. So, like I said, we're in no man's land, and we're still higher than we were ever. We're setting records every day, because you can see, now here was the peak last year. That was on October the 2nd. It was at 1936 parts per billion. And we passed that a while back. And so we're setting records for every day this time of year. Now we're 15.5 parts per billion higher than a year ago. We're 77 parts per billion higher than when I started tracking this on March the 1st of 2019. And so let's just see what happened this week. So here we were on the 3rd. This was the data I showed last Sunday. We were at 1945, and then on Sunday, 1946.5. That was an increase of 1.5. And if we look up here in the I'll show that in a minute. On the 5th, we went down 0.5. On the 6th, we went up 0.5, so just kind of back and forth there. On the 7th, we went up 1 part per billion, and here in the morning we were at 1948 on the mean, and that's the highest we've seen so far this year. And that day we were at 2.5 higher for the week. On the 8th, we went back down 1.5. On the 9th, we went no change. And then here we are for the 10th at 1946.5. We went up 0.5 for the day, and leaves us overall 1.5 higher for this week, and 15.5 higher than a year ago. So that's where that is. Now we'll move on with cams. And I'm always frustrated when they do this, especially in the height of methane rising season. Okay, so we're going to look at Wednesday the 7th, Arctic view and surface levels to start off with. And what they'll do is they'll start releasing 1 day at a time, it may be up for a few hours before, they've put up another day and then taken away that day. And so I'll be monitoring this very closely, and as soon as they put up new data, then I'll record that just to have it so we don't miss any days. So I'll do silent movies as they come up, and we'll post those on my Vimeo account and on Subscribestar. So here we have the data is for Wednesday, and forecast period is Thursday through Sunday today. So we've been watching Iceland, and it's been having high methane releases up here on this north side. They've also had earthquakes there this week. The tectonic plate line runs right through the middle of Iceland, and eventually they're saying that the island will break apart because of the plate line. We're also seeing the Scandinavian area billow back to life from Norway all the way across to Russia, and high readings here in the Beaufort Sea here. See that? And then the interior of Russia is really filling in with high readings. Komsomolets is still billowing. We also have a separate spot in the North Kara Sea that's popping up. Here's Alaska and eastern Siberia. And notice the background colors are a lot higher. They're at least this yellow-green, which is 2020 parts per billion. That's this color right in here, and then moving into the yellows and oranges and golds and reds, and like this kind of orangey red is, let's see, 2080 parts per billion. The bright red is 2100, and the brownish, almost black, brownish red is between 2160 and 10,000 parts per billion. That's the range. And up here in Canada, see this large area around the southern part of the Hudson Bay. Now they've got fires up here, and also over further west, these are the tar sands area, where it's billowing up from North Dakota, and there's major oil operations and also lignite coal mines there. They have a carbon sequestering, however you say it, plant there, trying to ship the carbon up to Canada. They've got a pipeline that they're shipping the carbon up to Canada. Whatever. Last I read that it was losing a lot of money. That it just, it's not cost effective to do it. So I don't know if they're still doing that or not. I just, I can't keep up with everything. And it's a moot point. At this point, we're so far gone. I mean, you saw from the Sam Carana article, it's just a moot point. And here's the North Pole view. Here's the UK, and from Germany down, so it's filling up again. Here's northern Italy. Here's the Persian Gulf. Here's India, and this is Pakistan, the blob to the west of India. China. Now, see, still spilling over the coastline. Look at that. So just one big black blob all the way up to Korea. See these waves moving out, that light yellow green. These are all signs of very high methane. Look at the waves. And then they'll spiral around in the Pacific. Look at the US. That's awful. Oh, someone left a question in the comments about Florida having so much high methane. What was the cause of that? Well, first of all, Florida is very humid, and a lot of it is swampland. Wherever you have swamps or a lot of water and humidity, decomposing matter, you're going to have super high methane. It's also very densely populated, so wherever you have population centers, you're going to have methane. And so that's, and depending on the time of year, of course, this is summertime, so it's going to be hotter, and so you're going to have more of the decomposition and everything. But Florida is usually, I'd say, it's pretty much a constant with high methane. Look at Texas. And up here in the upper Midwest. See the wave? Here it is coming off of the US and Canada. And see, it's kind of merging with this wave coming down from Alaska, and it's just kind of spiraling in the Pacific. And this is where we saw the brown for sea surface temperature anomaly, and also we saw higher air temperatures in this area too. Now, we'll go to the global view. So our main background color in the southern hemisphere is this 1860 parts per billion. And this little darker blue area, that's 1840, like here. off the coast of Africa and over here in the Pacific, but primarily it's 1860. See this white spot popping up at Beijing. That's higher than the chart. That's higher than 10,000 parts per billion. And Beijing is, it's got the worst air quality on the planet. It's the most polluted city on the planet. And it's reflected right there in that white spot. Okay, now we'll look at 500 HPA. And see, we've got the heaviest over China and Southern Asia. Here over Saudi Arabia. Look, here's a spot. Where is that? That's Kazakhstan, it looks like. And here, northern Russia, and then look, all Siberia, and so on. And then look at this, all the way from Alaska, all across Canada and the Arctic. And we've been seeing these heavy regions around northern Australia. See, we've got an area to the east and one to the west there too. And then total column, this is the methane added up through all the layers of the atmosphere, and from Japan all the way over China, Asia, India, here's Persian Gulf, Saudi Arabia, and then all these reds. Look at that. So there's that. Now we'll move on. This is the smoke over North America today from fires, and this is from CAMS, and we can see the heaviest on this west side. See the red spot here? That's from the Mosquito Fire, and I'm just on the edge, just northeast of the red spot, just right up here. And then we've got other fires up through California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, here in Canada, and see the smoke. I showed that on Zoom Earth. There it is. And we've got smoke down here, New Mexico. Look how it swoops all the way up into Canada. Here's a hot spot in Mexico, just next to southern Texas, and then Canada here. And look at the smoke swooping across Maine. This is sulfur dioxide today, and so we've got the highest readings here, China, this east side of China, and so on. Here it is at 500 HPA, and here our highest reading is at Popocatépetl. Now, this is ozone over the Antarctic, and this is today. We can see this is a big change since last week, and the hole is now fully formed over the Antarctic and in the danger zone, and we've got 3 levels down in the danger zone. We see this black line, and then anything inside that black line is considered in the danger zone. It's below 220 Dobson units, and this navy blue is 150 to 175 Dobson units. And sun's coming up, but it's been cold for so long down there. That's why the ozone is forming. Ozone hole is forming. And it'll take a while for it to heat up and for this to shrink back up. But it has not gone away. Don't let anyone fool you. It's still there. Anyway. Here's the Arctic ozone, and here's a hole from the East Siberian Sea over to the Beaufort Sea. And look at Canada. It's in the chartreuse and then green. And I mean Greenland, I said Canada. Greenland and then Canada all the way across Norway and so forth. Wherever there's smoke. Let's see here over North America. It'll eat away smoke or high methane. You'll see holes in the ozone. Here's the global view. Here's a break coming up from the Antarctic in the Atlantic. See all the greens and greenish tinges. That's all of those. Now we'll move on to the sea ice portion of the show. I'm going to start with my slideshow. This is from Climate Reanalyzer, Sea Ice and Snow Cover, and I save all these images every day so I can have a reference. Here we are for today, the 11th, and we can zoom in. And here's this Beaufort Sea, all that open water, and see the little fringy ice. It might as well not be there. It's just almost nothing there, just little tendrils, lots of open water, and then really it's collapsing all across this area here. And we've got big holes in the ice up here, north and east of the North Pole. It's also coming apart just north of Greenland. And then also in this East Siberian Sea and Chukchi Sea. Alright, so let's see what happened this week. See if we can tell much change. Here we were last Sunday, the 4th. Okay, we'll just click through. Here's Monday. That was a big change. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that's what we've got right now. And then here's the U.S. Navy model for Arctic sea ice thickness. And so according to the color ledger, like this, the purple, the dark purple, where it moves into dark blue, that's about 1 meter thick. The light purple is from like 1/2 meter down to just a little pond scum. Where you see the whites in the purple area, that's signifying open water in between the ice. The dark aqua, see this dark aqua? That's about 1.5 meters thick. The bright aqua right in here, that's about 2 to 2.5 meters thick. And I don't think we're going to see any red today. We've got a little bit of yellow here just above Greenland. And if we see any green, it won't be much. Yellow is about 3.5 meters thick. Green is about 3 meters thick. So the area Sam Carana pointed out as really concentrated ice was really just this area where you see the bright aqua just above Ellesmere and a little bit above Canada. And then he also put in an area above Greenland. But I don't really see that that's that concentrated above Greenland. I would only count this area here. And we can see the darker areas where it's coming apart and see where it's pulled away from the coastline. So right now this just keeps thinning out, and this area, what's left of the thicker ice, is continuing to squeeze down and thin and kind of spread out, elongate. So let's look at the 30-day animation. This was updated to yesterday, so the data goes back 3 weeks, and the forecast period goes out to next Saturday, which is the 17th. Now typically the extent reaches the minimum around mid-September, like between the 16th to the 19th. But like I said, I don't think we can go by what's typical. We're just gonna, like I said, just act like explorers and just watch the data and watch the images and see what happens. And remember that it's melting from underneath, because the water coming in from the Atlantic and the Pacific, it's warm, salty water, and so, it's so thin. I mean, this purple could all go in a heartbeat. Alright, here we are at the end of the model, next Saturday, and we see these holes just north of the North Pole are trying to close up, and that, holes can close up without a refreeze, depending on the ice drift and the winds and, the waves and, pushing the ice back together. We can really see this line forming here on this western end, where it's kind of, I think this is trying to break off, and it's still going into darker aqua and squishing down and becoming thinner with that thicker part. And we're seeing a little bit of red show up here next to Greenland. I don't think it's a refreeze by any stretch. Here we are today, so let's just click through and see what happens. So we're seeing the ice, it's pulled away from the coastline and it's sliding down from Ellesmere. And that's the way this gyre goes, the Beaufort gyre. And just more thinning. Here's the Beaufort Sea Ice Thickness. This was yesterday, the 10th. And look at all this open water along Alaska and Canada here. And here's the end of that thicker ice. And see, this is, I'm telling you, this is so wispy. I wish they wouldn't even count that, because I think it's kind of misleading. Here's the 30-day animation. This was updated to yesterday, so the forecast again goes out to next Saturday. Watch this ice move down. See, it pulls away and then slides down, and it's also sliding in. We've got ice exiting right in there, see? In that tributary. So there's that. Now this is the Antarctic for today, sea ice thickness, and they're still in their growth season for sea ice, and the extent is still inching out just a tiny bit, and we're mainly seeing thickening here in the Ross Sea, with the moving into the dark blue and more aquas around the coastline. Here in the Weddell Sea, this is where you have the majority of the thicker ice, just on this east side of the Larsens and Western Peninsula, with green, aqua, and so on. Here's the 30-day animation, again updated to yesterday. So the forecast goes out to next Saturday. Now, they should be reaching their maximum extent just any time now. So there's that. And this is National Snow and Ice Data Center. Now, I was able to get the Greenland data that they posted today, but I wasn't able to get to the part of their website where they show the Arctic and Antarctic sea ice concentrations. For some reason it's down. We can try it again. Oops. Here we go. Sea ice daily. Oh, see. Unexpected error. Try again later. So I've been getting that all day. So the latest data that they have, and I've been saving this every day, is from the 8th, so 3 days ago. And this is Arctic sea ice concentration. And look at all these blues. So the most concentrated is just this white area. Really above Ellesmere and a little bit of Canada there. And all these dark blues, see. The brown line is the median, and this is just sea ice extent. This is the chart for the melting, and here's the blue line still going down as of the 8th, and it's about halfway in between the dotted line for 2012 and the median. But like I said, I think it's from ice spreading out. It's not because it's such good ice. Here's the Antarctic for the 8th. Sea ice concentration. And here's the extent chart for the refreeze. This was the 8th. Here's the blue line. And as of the 8th, it was still heading up. So still, extent was still building. Last year, we peaked out at the end of August. But look how far below. I mean, we've been running really a lot lower than than last year. Alright, here's Greenland. This is the melting for yesterday, the 10th. And see this whole western edge with the salmon color, that's in melt. and these dots around. Here are the cumulative melt days for this whole year. If you see white, that means it didn't melt any this year. And then starting with the light blue, it's tracking the number of melt days. And see here, this southwest edge, we're moving up into this purplish pink, up towards 90 days. I would say 85 to 90. And here's the extent. Look at this. So here's where it spiked this week. And we were at about 38% melt that day. And then it's been coming back down. Then it went back up here for the 10th, and we're about at, it looks like about 6% melt. The mean or median is a flat line, close to flat line. So we're really coming up on the end of the Greenland melt season. So this is well, you can see we never had it spike up like that before. Not at this time of year. And that's all of those. Now, let's move on to NASA Worldview. I'll refresh to make sure we get all the latest. We're going to start here in the Arctic. And I'm going to turn on sea ice concentration. And I'm going to turn off the clouds. Here we are today. Wherever you see any colors, it's melting. So, according to this website, the only really concentrated ice without any melting at all is just this little area right here, just above Ellesmere in Canada, and a couple of spots out here, because we've even got pink all around here. So even just the slightest bit of pink means that it's coming apart. Once you get into the greens, you're going to see holes in the ice, big holes. And so this area, from the Chukchi Sea up towards Russia, that's in high melt. And this area on the west side, that's in high melt. And see here above Greenland, we've got some areas that are coming apart too. So let's go back to last Sunday, the 4th. And we'll just click through and see what happened this week. So here was Sunday. Here's Monday, Tuesday. Look at that. Wednesday. Look at this hole above Greenland open up. Here's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and here we are today. So it looks like this is gonna open up here on this north part. So there's that. And turn on our clouds and turn that layer off. And now we'll go in, see what we can see here. And let's start up here at Greenland. We've got a bunch of clouds here. So, see, here's this east side, not much ice at all, and hard to make out the hole here. Let's go back. Here was the 8th. Here was this hole. And we've had clouds. Look at that, that skipped. Anyway. Here's the nearest strait. Cloudy. Here's yesterday. And see, the ice is moving down, exiting here. See, it's moving and it's melting as it's moving. And we've had smoke come up across Canada and up here to Greenland. And see, here's some more smoke coming up. And that's not good at all, because the particulates from the smoke and the ash, it'll fall on that sea ice, or not the sea ice, the ice sheet, and it makes it darker, so it doesn't reflect the sun. It soaks it up. The albedo, it's less albedo. So here's the rain coming up in the Baffin Bay today. Now let's move on. Here's Svalbard. It's open. Here's this east edge of the ice. See? Right there. Here's the North Pole. And see what we can see. Here's Franz Josef Land. Now, sometimes there's an extra layer that's been put in for whatever reason, and sometimes this Earth at Night layer will reveal stuff to us. Okay. Didn't see anything there. Let's look at this. See the smear there? Let's see. Well, not really. Look at this. Here we go. Here's open water. See? You can see the ice there. Up here. Look at that. back up here. Now the sun is at an angle, so some of these blues we're seeing, they're shadows from the clouds. And when it's over land, it's usually shadows from mountains or volcanoes. There's open. Look at this. Here we go. See the ice spread? That's what I'm talking about. So when it breaks up, it spreads out. Look how widespread that is. Look at all this open water. And they're counting this as extent. All that open water. So I think that's misleading. Alright, now here's Severnia Zemlya. Here's the bubble off ice cap. You can still see the ice pouring into the ocean here, and we've got some clouds here, but you can still see it. See, even yesterday. I mean, it's very pronounced. See the ice there. Here's some mullets right here. See all this open water. It's right around here. It's where we've been seeing that methane billow forever. On cams is where we've seen that. And there's ice. And look at this. See? So if we could take away the clouds, we would be shocked at how much open water there is. Okay, this is the Laptev Sea. Can't see it because of the clouds. It's just been crazy with clouds, but it's open. There's no ice up here. Here, see? No ice. Those are all clouds. Here's the coastline. Here's New Siberian Islands. So this Russia coast is all open. Here we go. Here's Siberia. See? Open. Here's some wispy ice. See? These are clouds. There's Wrangel Island. Open, open. And here's There's the Bering Strait. Here's Alaska. All this is open. That's all melted. Let's see here. Here's the Chukchi Sea. And it's melted all the way into here. Let's see. Here's the circle at 80 degrees north latitude. Here's that little bit of ice left in the Beaufort Sea. Not much. That's open. Here's Canada. So the most concentrated ice is right along here. Ellesmere and up and around, right along here. Let's see, look how it's melted inside this 80-degree mark. That's really just started melting a lot this week. There's the 80-degree line. And here you can see the leads coming apart. See the cracking? See that? And we're back to Greenland. Now we'll hop down to the Antarctic. And I'll refresh. And here we can see this black area is getting smaller. This is the area that's still in the dark as the sun is coming up. So the sun is still low on the horizon and casting a lot of shadows. And we're going to start on this western peninsula. And our iceberg we've been tracking, this A76. Remember how this changed course like overnight, so it wouldn't run into this little island here. And it's still headed away from it. I'll show you. Here we were last week. Let's go. Here we were on the 3rd. And let's see, it was about to hit this island. And then on the 4th, magically it just swung out, just changed directions. And too cloudy here. Here's the 6th. Look, it keeps moving clockwise. Look at that. There's the 7th. Here's the little island that it nearly hit. Here's the 8th moving away. 9th and 10th. And it's free of sea ice. So it's on its own. And this iceberg broke off right down here. Right down here this is called the Roni Ice Shelf. It broke off right down here, and we've been watching it make its way out along the western peninsula and then just out. So here we are today, pretty cloudy, and here's the Pine Island Glacier. See the little ear? And here's the ice that's frozen down from that. There's quite a bit of open water here. You can't really see it because of the clouds. This is the Thwaites Glacier. This is the Doomsday Glacier. And you can see the crack there. And this ice out down here is referred to as the tongue. So we'll be watching that. Look at this open water. And coming around. This is the Ross Sea. And here's the Ross Ice Shelf that's coming into view. And here's Ross Island. And this is Mount Erebus. See the shadows cast? Mount Erebus is a volcano. And this is another volcano on this west side. See the shadow? Right at this tippy point is where McMurdo Research Station is located. See the rocks. The Antarctic gets so little snow. It's considered desert because it just gets very little snow. Very little precipitation at all. Here's the Totem Glacier. There's the tongue. Here's the ice. And then coming around the east side, there's the ice. See, it doesn't freeze out as far on this side. Here's the Amory Ice Shelf. A lot of clouds here. And then here's the north side. There's the ice where it comes up. And here's the coast. See, there's some open water. And then coming around, here's the Brunt Ice Shelf. And it goes all along here is the Brunt Ice Shelf. And we're back to the Weddell Sea. And that's it. That's my tour of the Antarctic. And let's look at some earthquakes now. We had some big ones this week, just yesterday even. We've got 191 in the last 24 hours. here on USGS. But I want to go to 7 days, all magnitudes. So for the last week, they've counted 1,889. Look at all of this. I'm going to start up here at Iceland. And all of these came in just off the coast. See, right next to the red line, there were 5 here within about a 2-day period. And the largest was a 5.2. That happened on the 7th. And then 4 more in the 4s between the 7th and the 9th. So we're going to be seeing more and more earthquakes up here as this Greenland ice sheet melts. It changes the weight on the tectonic plate, and then the plates move up and down. It's called isostatic rebound. We had one in the North Atlantic, 5.1, and we had one in France, look, 4.3. At Flaxland in France, 4.3. Where's this one? Greece. Okay, Greece. Okay, so this is kind of an unusual place. I wonder if this is where CERN is. Okay. Here's Switzerland. Here's France. What's this country? Oh, Germany, of course. And that was on the 10th, so yesterday. Romania had a 4.1. We had 5.5 near Luxury, Greece. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of them. Okay, China. Look, right here. 6.6. Kangding, China. This happened last Sunday, the 4th. And quite a few had a couple of aftershocks, fours there. And then another big one, or the biggest one that then we've had in months. This was a 7.6 on land at Kainantu, Papua New Guinea. This came in yesterday at 4:46 p.m. Pacific time. So no doubt that caused damage. I don't follow damage reports and stuff usually. Okay, 6.2 near Biak, Indonesia, so just on the other side of the island. This came in on the 9th. We've had movement down here at Tonga and Fiji, and so on. Look at all of this. South America and South Sandwich Islands. See, that's coming back to life. look at that, 9 down here this week. 5.9 here was the largest. So 5s and 4s there this week. Look at this. Lots of plate movement. And then here in the US, here's some on the Juan de Fuca plate, and just more of the same. Here's Yellowstone. They had 60 right up here in this northwest corner of Yellowstone. So that's been rocking along. Here's Pacific Northwest. 56, 55 here in the Pacific Northwest. So that's been rocking along. So I don't know if I missed some of those clusters or what. Explosion, 0.8 explosion. Well, I mean, they're spread out too, so 54 up there. Look at all of this. More of the same everywhere you go. Let's look at 2.5 or higher for 7 days. That's a different story. So, see, mainly along the San Andreas fault line is where we're seeing them. 18 there. Well, one more, 19. Well, anyway, 18. 3s. Only a couple of 3s. And then the rest are 2s. But above 2.5 magnitude. So, there's that. So that's my report for tonight, and we'll bring it back to a spiritual perspective. I do believe we are in the end days, and so, I show all how the earth is collapsing and climate and everything. All of this has been prophesied of in the Bible, that in the end days all of these things would happen. And so I'm documenting it, but we need to be spiritually prepared for the end. And I've been reading out of the Book of Wisdom, which is one of the books of the Apocrypha. It was written by I'm having a brain fart, hold on. Yeah, it was written by King Solomon, and it's a sacred text. And we're almost done with this book. Wisdom chapter 18. Nevertheless thy saints had a very great light, whose voice they hearing, and not seeing their shape, because they also had not suffered the same things, they counted them happy. But for that they did not hurt them now, of whom they had been wronged before, they thanked them, and besought them pardon for that they had been enemies. Instead whereof thou gavest them a burning pillar of fire, both to be a guide of the unknown journey, and an harmless sun to entertain them honorably. For they were worthy to be deprived of light and imprisoned in darkness, who had kept thy sons shut up, by whom the incorrupt light of the law was to be given unto the world. And when they had determined to slay the babes of the saints, one child being cast forth and saved, to reprove them, thou tookest away the multitude of their children, and destroyedst them altogether in a mighty water. Of that night were our fathers certified afore, that assuredly knowing unto what oaths they had given credence, they might afterwards be of good cheer. So of thy people was acceptance, both the salvation of the righteous and destruction of the enemies. For wherewith thou didst punish our adversaries, by the same thou didst glorify us, whom thou hast called. For the righteous children of good men did sacrifice secretly, and with one consent made a holy law, that the saints should be like partakers of the same good and evil, the fathers now singing out the songs of praise. But on the other side there sounded an ill according cry of the enemies, and a lamentable noise was carried abroad for children that were bewailed. The master and the servant were punished after one manner, and like as the king, so suffered the common person. So they altogether had innumerable dead with one kind of death, neither were the living sufficient to bury them, for in one moment the noblest offspring of them was destroyed. For whereas they would not believe anything by reason of the enchantments upon the destruction of the firstborn, they acknowledged this people to be the sons of God. For while all things were in quiet silence, and that night was in the midst of her swift course, thine almighty word leaped down from heaven out of thy royal throne, as a fierce man of war into the midst of a land of destruction, and brought thine unfeigned commandment as a sharp sword, and standing up filled all things with death, and it touched the heaven, but it stood upon the earth. Then suddenly visions of horrible dreams troubled them sore, and terrors came upon them unlooked for. And one thrown here and another there, half dead, shewed the cause of his death. For the dreams that troubled them did foreshew this, lest they should perish, and not know why they were afflicted. Yea, the tasting of death touched the righteous also, and there was a destruction of the multitude in the wilderness, but the wrath endured not long. For then the blameless man made haste and stood forth to defend them, and bringing the shield of his proper ministry, even prayer, and the propitiation of incense, set himself against the wrath, and so brought the calamity to an end, declaring that he was thy servant. So he overcame the destroyer, not with strength of body, nor force of arms, but with a word, subdued him that punished, alleging the oaths and covenants made with the fathers. For when the dead were now fallen down by heaps, one upon another, standing between, he stayed the wrath, and parted the way to the living. For in the long garment was the whole world, and in the 4 rows of the stones was the glory of the fathers graven, and thy majesty upon the diadem of his head. Unto these the destroyer gave place, and was afraid of them, for it was enough that they only tasted of the wrath. Wisdom chapter 18. So if you haven't given your life to Jesus Christ, I highly recommend it before it's too late. He can protect us and guide us through these dark days. He's the only one that really can. And he can save us, save our souls, make sure that we make it to his Father's kingdom, God's kingdom. So, he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. We need to believe on him, accept him into our hearts, repent, and follow him. Live a righteous life until the end. That's the most important thing, our spiritual walk and spiritual preparation. So I love you all, and I'm praying for you. I hope everyone has a good week, as good as possible. And Lord willing, I'll be here again Sunday night next week, and we'll look at things again. So until then, God bless you. Go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Good night.